What's up, guys? Am I live? Am I on? All right, great. So yeah, I wanted to go through the Miami 2025 RM Sotheby's results. There were some pretty cool cars that went through and sold, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of analyze how these cars did and those sorts of things. So let me pull up my little window here. Yeah. So of course there's a few of them that I'm like super interested in. Um, of course any of the big five or I guess now they're big six with the F80 coming down the pipeline. Um, anytime Enzo, but this was price upon request, so that one's like I guess that one didn't run. But an F50. I mean that's a pretty hefty number. 5.5 for an F50. I have an F50 if anybody needs one. A nice one. So it looks like this one was Classy Cade. Let's see, 154th. Yeah, that was back when they actually put the numbers on them instead of one of. Oh yes, look, see, it actually says the Big Six. Right here, you got the Big Six hypercars now because they threw the F80 in there. So, got to get used to saying that. So, anyways, yeah, 5.5 for an F50. Pretty interesting. I mean, I think that's you know, that's kind of what I anticipated for this car to sell for. Um, and so for some of you guys that are like new to brokering, the reason that we follow auctions is because that kind of dictates the market of cars, right? Anytime a car, sells, whether it's now people even track Bring a Trailer. So Bring a Trailer, any of these like in-person auctions that RM or Mecum have, we track all of those, right? To kind of gauge the market on a specific car. So if let's just say you have an F50 that you're trying to sell, now market is like 5.5 ish, right? Um, this one I'm still kind of blown away by the F40 because I remember when we were selling them for 70, 80. Sorry, not 70, 80, 700 to $800,000. And I remember just thinking like this car is insane. When you see it in person, it's one of the coolest cars. So, yeah, so it's just like crazy to see them at 3.5 million. Um, yeah, it's impressive. So the only thing that I will say about the F40 compared to let's say the F50. So there's 213 examples in the US market, right? So I think they made about 1300 of the F40 and that's a lot for the big 5. So all the other big 6, I got to get used to saying that. Um all of the other cars were less than 500. So Ferrari they made 499, the Enzo they made 399 sort of. They made the 400th for the Pope, which is a white one that they auctioned off. But there's like VIN numbers for I can't remember, but it's like 420 or something. Ferrari, probably out the back door with a very mafioso Italian style, made more than they actually said they were going to make. So, but anyways, it's still less than 1300, right? So, say you have 400 Enzos, you got 500 Ferraris, F50s. I think they only made I want to say 300. It's a lot less than the F40. So yeah, there weren't a lot out there. So anyway, so 1300 of them made. That's a pretty hefty price for something that's like not that's about how many pistas they made. So but I think it's really just kind of the design, how old the car is. I mean, it's just still one of the coolest design cars in my opinion. So anyways, but yeah, that's so anyways, let's see. What was the mileage on this thing? So yeah, 3,400. Okay, that's why you get. So I mean, if you think about it, it's a 91. So how old is that? That's 30 some odd years old. That's like 10 miles a year. I mean, that's wild to think about. Um, I mean, man, they barely drove that. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Good job, RM on that one. Let's see. This one, I just I don't think this is the right auction for it. So if you are selling an SF90 Stradale, so I have a client or buddy that has a twin to this car. So I don't know if you guys can see it. It looks very red there, but this is actually Rosso Dino. So it's like a red with an orange tint. It's kind of a cool color. Non-metallic. It's really nice color. So he has a twin to this car. But I would not. I just wouldn't run it through RM Sotheby's. Like, if you have an F40 or an F50, that's a great place to sell it. But like, most people don't go to these big auctions, to buy an SF90, right? Like, you would go, to more of a retail experience where you're like, go to a dealership or something like that. Maybe even it probably even do better on Bring a Trailer, but at RM Sotheby's, I don't see these like regular cars doing that well, especially when it's a newer car. So and not limited edition. So 423 is not good. I mean, that is really bad. I mean, so just to put in perspective, so most Ferraris, they depreciate, I mean, it has the highest resale value of any brand for production cars. So if you're comparing it to McLaren, Lamborghini, anything, even Porsche, uh, Ferrari just has the highest resale value, right? Now that they've added, so Ferrari's now gone public, they're kind of changing the company quite a bit. Um, they have started producing more models, right? So they created the SF90, they created um, the 296. I mean, I don't, I, the SUV, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, they said it's an SUV, but I still feel like, to me, it's still just a variation of the GTC4 Lusso. So, but anyways, they're producing a ton of cars, right? They're cranking out the cars now. And so, one of the things that Ferrari used to have was the exclusivity. So they kind of controlled the market, right? And the retail stores, because they had such a great grasp on the market, you get these cars that would resell for, a brand new SF90 probably sold for 150,000 over sticker, right? And like when I worked at Ferrari, we had the 812, the very first 812 sold for 200,000 over sticker, so what that does is if they're really hard to get, they Ferrari controls the who gets the cars, right? You have to buy certain cars in order to get the early cars. What that does is it creates a demand, and it also bolsters the resale value, right? Because people are paying so much for them. So they've had like a really good business model for the longest time, kind of the industry standard in the dealership world. So um now that they've started producing all these models, I've talked to a lot of my clients, and they're just like, I don't know what to buy. Like Ferrari used to be, four or five models, right? And basically you could buy every single one, drive it a little bit, give it back to Ferrari, and you wouldn't lose your ass on it, right? So now that they have so many cars, they've introduced all these other models. Customers are like, I don't know what to buy. Ferrari wants me to buy everything. And they're like, I don't need that many cars, right? Four or five is already a shit ton, right? It's like, how are you going to drive all of those, right? If they're all new cars and they're all, all right, you got to buy an SF90, and then you got to buy an SF90 Spider, and you got to buy an F8 Tributo, and you got to buy an F8 Tributo Spider, and you got to buy whatever it is, the new 12 cylinder, I forget what it's called. It's just like they've just produced so many cars, and I mean, that's a classic example. I can't even tell you what the new 812 is called, just because there's so many cars coming out, it's like hard to keep track. On top of the Icona edition, which I think are the cool, that's going to be like the new LaFerraris, which is like the SP1, SP2, SP3. But yeah, they're just cranking out all these models, and so it's really hard to keep track of what they're making. And so now you have an SF90 that should have like incredible resale value. These things are getting destroyed. absolutely destroyed. 200,000 in like a year or two, which is like unheard of. That's like Rolls-Royce pricing or like McLaren pricing, right? Like when you get a Rolls-Royce, almost everyone leases it because you just do not want to deal with resale value, right? Because at a lease you go, all right, how many miles do I have? How long do I have it? Okay, great. Stay under the miles, drive it that amount of time. You hand back the key and you don't worry about resale value. So that's why, that's why the leasing structure is so great on those because there's so much depreciation. A lot of British cars. I mean, even Aston Martins as well, just get kind of beat up in terms of resale value. So, um, yeah, it's really interesting. So, long story long, not a good place to sell the SF90. 220 or sorry, 423 is that's going to just even push the SF90 market down even lower. So like having someone put that car up there just not a good thing for my buddy that has one or anybody that has an SF90 or even an SF90 Spider because that'll probably hurt that as well. So um really really interesting, kind of crazy to see how Ferrari is moving forward in terms of resale value. I mean, there's still I think the industry standard in terms of resale value. Porsche is kind of creeping into that world. Porsche is now moving into this they're GT3 RS or GT2 RS. I mean, some of those cars are such incredible cars, and they're demanding like big premiums. So the resale on those are incredible, and they're impossible to get. So, yeah, pretty interesting. So last one, oh, this is incredible. Is that black with red interior? It looks like it. Let me see. So I had a client. Oh, oh. So, anyways, a little context. I had a client. All he collected was black with red interior, which is a hard color combo to find. But that was how. So I started him at Ferrari. He was one of my early clients, and over time we ordered a bunch of cars, and every single car we did black with red interior. So it was cool. It was kind of like a little theme that he had, and every single car came out like that. So then, as he started building his collection, he was looking for old school cars that were in black with red interior. And I wonder if this one is actually a if it's factory black red because it's very few people did that. Delivered to Newport Beach. First one, it's funny. The guy lives or lived in Orange County. Acquired Canada. Signed or sent it to Ferrari of Ontario. Interesting. Refurbished. Cars rarely is so it is factory spec. Wow. Factory spec, black with red interior. That's pretty fucking cool. Um, so anyways, I'm actually gonna send this to him because he's a big time collector. He's probably got, 25, 30 cars, and yeah, this is like right up his alley. I wonder who bought it though. Shoot. I wish I had seen that one prior. That's a perfect car for him. So anyways, but yeah, every car that he has is black with red interior. So whenever I see something like this, it's always funny to kind of send his way. But yeah, 268. I mean, that's not bad. I think that's about right actually. Sold new in California. Yeah, 2,200 examples produced from 92 to 94. So, I love the 512. It's the V12 version of the Testarossa. So that's definitely the car to have. They have the other just kind of Testarossa. Um, which is a V8. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a very cool car. I could see something like this, especially with this like rare spec. I mean, that's a car you could buy, sit on for 5 to 10 years, and you're gonna easily double your money. So, um, yeah, pretty interesting. So, I mean, all in all, not a lot of like Ferraris, went through auction. A 512 BBI, that's another cool one. I would, I actually like the design of a 512 TR better, but these 512 BBIs actually are pretty desirable. Yeah, and it actually sold for more, so it got 300. Um, yeah, pretty interesting. White spec with tan interior. That's a cool. Or that's like a cream interior. Wow, those carpets are wild. Um, Yeah, the interiors were wild on some of these cars. Yeah, interesting car. Yeah, I mean 512 BBIs are cool. It's just I'd rather get a 512 TR in my opinion. And then let's see, sold after auction a Challenge Stradale. So that's like the limited edition version of the 360, right? Um, 378 went to North America. So yeah, you're probably looking at like yeah, maybe 1200, 1300 were built. Oh, there you go. 1300. Um, yeah, so all right. Interesting. Anything unique about this Tour de France Blue? Wow, look at that interior. That is not factory at all. Wow. Is that? I don't think so. Track ready racing model off the street. Um, I don't think that's a factory interior, to be honest. Um, anyways, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Yeah, it doesn't really say. But that does not look factory to me. The red steering wheel, they never did anything like that. Maybe it was some sort of tailor-made thing. But anyways, all right. Yeah, so they don't have a price on that, but I would have been interested to see what it sold for. I mean, I think any of those limited edition V8s, Ferraris are good buys, especially if you're just like a collector and you want some cool cars. But um, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many were manual. Oh, looks like this page is not working. Um, there we go. And let's see, the 599 GTB. All right. Wow, 218. I mean, it's probably okay, so it's got the good wheels, the HGTE package. Um the handling package, that's what they call it. There you go. Yeah, these are the, big front mounted V12s. 5,100 miles. Okay, so that's low miles. So that kind of makes sense. That kind of tracks. Because I think, realistically, these are like 150 cars, but you get like a really low mile one, and with a good option with the HGTE package. Yeah, I could see it cracking the twos. So that makes sense. Yeah, pretty cool car. Nothing too complex. Red, black. I mean, what color red is that? Is that just standard Rosa Corsa? Um, oh, Rosa Scuderia. There you go. Yeah, so Rosa Scuderia. That's like a little bit lighter. It's not Rosso Dino, so Rosso Dino has way more orange. Rosso Scuderia is a step in the red direction, but still has a hint of orange. And then you would go to like Rosso Corsa, which is like kind of the Ferrari racing red. Um, Pretty cool. Okay, all right. Well, good job, Miami. That looks yeah, and the 330 GTS got 1.6. That's a cool car. I don't know that much about these old classic cars. Um, there's guys that specialize those, like my buddy Bryant. Just, I mean, he knows these things inside and out. That's not really where I'm kind of on the newer side of the Ferrari world. So, um, I know some of the old cars. The kind of the key ones that you need to know, but like I don't know all the details of like a 330 GTS versus a 400 Super America. So stuff I need to learn. But anyways, hopefully that was useful for you guys. Just wanted to go through that so we can kind of keep track of what's going on in the car world and what the prices are and what to expect, because you want to know these things when you talk to a client and like um they're talking about cars. You should know all the recent auctions, because if someone comes to you and they're like, well, I'd like a 512 TR, my budget's $150,000, and I want a low mile one. You're like, well, that's not possible. So, and if you don't push back immediately and you go, all right, yeah, let me see what I can find, right? Then now in their minds you've set the expectation that they can actually get a car for 150. So you got to keep track of the market of all these cars and know what's selling and what's kind of being listed around. So just kind of building that information and knowledge base is really what you want to do. So Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this, and feel free to subscribe and leave any comments if you have. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, have a good one. Later.